Okay, so let's get started with some nice breaths. Just some cleansing breaths, just not only cleansing for the mind, but cleansing for ourselves. We've been talking about health, we've been talking about COVID, and it is that dark days of winter. It's resting within us, it's resting in our bodies, in our minds. So just doing cleansing breaths, just our natural breath. We don't have to make anything extra. But just feeling as we inhale and then as we exhale, really noticing that feeling of release as we exhale. Really noticing what it does for our entire body. And it's almost as if you can imagine that you're breathing through your nose or your mouth, and you're exhaling. And that exhale is starting at the top of our bodies, our nose, our mouth, and then we can feel the release through the breath as it really almost moves down the body. And so that exhale can be like an imaginary image of our bloodstream, the breath going down, maybe both arms, down through the body, down our legs, and out the bottoms of our feet. Some imagery always helps when we are meditating. Because we can imagine whatever is helpful for us. So I could imagine that I'm breathing in and then breathing out, and it's like a liquid covering my body with some peace and harmony as it flows from the top of my head down both my shoulders and my arms, my torso, my legs. Or I can imagine the bloodstream and my veins and all the rest of the organs and parts of my body that are all interconnected. Just accepting that I'm doing a release with my breath. I can imagine if my arms are aching or my legs are aching, I can breathe into it instead of getting locked onto it or attached to it. Instead, I accept that the pain is there. And then I breathe through the pain, imagining that I can move it with the power of my mindful practice. It's like almost like a river or even a waterfall where I'm at the head of the river or on the top of the waterfall. And I have accepted that the pain is there, but I am not going to accept that it is impairing me and holding me down. Instead, we can look at that pain as we imagine the flow of water. We can imagine that time and time again. It doesn't have to be a one-off practice, but I could do that practice throughout the day whenever the pain seems to be flaring up. We can also give that pain a color. And that color, when we first acknowledge it, might be a dark or flaming kind of color because it feels intense. But when we set our intention to change that color to a color that is more palatable, more soothing, something that is not so stark as pain can be. And just like the ancient practice of Aikido, we can fight against the pain, but that fighting creates resistance. That fighting not only engages our bodies, but our minds and our hearts. But that practice of Aikido actually helps us to move with whatever we are in conflict with. So we are not fighting against, instead we are moving with. And so if we imagine our breath as our friend, if we imagine our breath as our partner, we can also imagine just moving with the pain. And we can actually scan our entire body. And when we come to a place where we are experiencing pain, we just notice, we just accept, and then we move to another part of our body. And so we can start at the tops of our heads, the crown of our head, as we notice what's going on there right in this moment. We notice any tingling, any sensations, any little throbs or pains, but we simply notice, and then we move our awareness down to our foreheads, between our eyes and in the back of our eyes, down into our sinus area, our cheeks, our jaws. And we're simply noticing what's there right here in this moment. And then we move down into our lips, our chins, our throats. And we take that whole of our neck into consideration as we notice, is there any tension there right now? Or our shoulders, a place where we can oftentimes keep it crunched up around our ears without even really noticing. And so we can develop a practice of paying attention, of bringing awareness in each moment. Where are our shoulders? And if they are raised up or tense, we can just lower them peacefully. And then down both of our arms, the outside, the inside, the muscles, the tendons. Imagining that flow of blood that is going through our veins all the way down to our fingertips on both hands. And then going back up all the way to our shoulders as we change direction and go down through our torso. Our chest, our breasts, our upper and lower abdomens, down into the pelvic area, to our buttocks sitting on our chairs and how that feels. The connection with both of our legs on the chairs. We scan down our thighs, noticing the bend in our knee, the kneecaps, and down both of our shins and calves. All the way down into our feet. And we notice our feet as they are planted on the earth. We imagine how much grounding that is for us as we sit, feet on the floor. We can imagine being on a beach or on the grass without our shoes, and that sensation, that grounding sensation that gives us the power to stand tall and to accept all that life has to offer us. We can accept the ups and the downs because we know how to ground ourselves. And so during this period of silence, we can either sit with whatever comes up, or we can scan up and down the body as often as we choose. Always knowing that we are just accepting what's there right here in this moment. And so for the next little while, we'll sit in silence. in what we would say is choiceless awareness. Choiceless in that we are just accepting what comes into our awareness as we sit in silence until you hear my voice again. May this new year bring us health, happiness, and peace. May this new year open us up to all possibility. May this new year bring peace around the world.